Well, in planning this year's Fringe ride, I thought, yes, Beringbooding Rock, very nice place out there in the wheat belt right on the Fringe. But also another important event was happening, which was Lake Perkolilli, the Red Dust Revival. And I thought, I'm taking both of these things in this year. So Beringbooding Rock is from the 1930s, believe it or not, when the government had nothing better to do and they had £10,000 spare and a bit of forced labour in their pocket. They thought, why not find this rock, which is a big dome of about, 8, 9, 10 acres, and they built a wall all the way around the rock which tiered down into an aqueduct which fed the 2 million gallon dam. Very interesting rock indeed, because it's got some odd rocks just sitting on the big dome. Where they came from, I have no idea. Some of them are quite large and they just seem to be balancing there, which is very odd indeed. I did like the wall they built around, tiered down, and it looks like they've caught almost every drop of water that comes off the rock to get into the dam, which was used by the early farmers, and it is still used. You can still buy the water off the government if you so wish. There's a beautiful water hole they've kept there, kangaroo hole, and it is naturally fed, of course, from the rock. And even though they've stopped some water from getting into it, there's always water in it. And it would be fantastic to see it in the rain with water cascading down the rock into the water hole. Anyway, I enjoyed that very much. It was a bit out of the way. Believe it or not, there's a few Aboriginal cave paintings at the back of the rock there. And I just was waiting for sunset, because I'd actually set up camp and did a walk around the rock again. Quite an impressive sort of a structure though for 1930s, and really a very popular camp spot now with the locals. It's getting more and more well known, so the campground was quite full at the time, but there was enough for me, my bike, my tent, and enough for 1,000 or so flyers as well. Beautiful sunset. They also told me it was harvest moon that night, so I was kept awake by the birds, who would not stop their talking and singing all night. On the way back to Muckenbudden, I pulled into the driveway, but nothing was on. So the next day, headed off to Lake Perkolilli. It took me 720 kilometres to get to Southern Cross, and then onto the lake, and they did warn me about the dust. Well, I thought, yes, there is a bit of dust there. It didn't let up all day. At the night it was perfect. But it's about 40 kilometres east of Kalgoorlie. And man, what an unbelievable weekend. And there was a plethora of motorcycles there, most of them very, very old. And the old Indian here, the fellow's doing the right thing. He's making a few running repairs, as you do to old Indians.
I'll get you back, you know.
Oh yeah, but later on. I've only got one more.
Yeah, true. Good luck. Beautiful. Safety. That's a real engine, that one. Boom, 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 boom. Has he? Yeah. That's all that is near, does it? Yeah.
Dan and Catherine took the T-model up, of course, and he had to leave a bit earlier because without headlights he had to get back to Kalgoorlie before it got dark. So he got going a little bit earlier, we were hoping. We were hoping it was going to start. And after the races, anybody could hop into the old cars and go for a lap around the racetrack, which is about 4.5 kilometres, believe it or not. You could also go in a land yacht, a modern one here. They were quite willing to take people around for a little spin. There was very modern ones here, very fast as well. And there was this contraption here, which was quite amazing to say the least. That's a homemade one if ever I saw one. These guys were only too willing to grab a passenger and, you know, a death-defying trip over the, hopefully over the buses and cars. Then after the races, of course, night was upon us. Well, what an amazing night it was. I really didn't video much of it. So I set up camp, ready for a nice evening meal, and that fellow Henry Ford, he was ruining the day that a starter motor wasn't put in these things. Anyway, it was getting dark, so I had to start cooking my meal. And you know, what's wrong with a bit of sweet potato and pumpkin soup with a bit of corn kernel thrown in? Man, that tasted nice. And you know, no red dust. No red dust, so I'm really enjoying this meal. Meanwhile, I just checked on Dan again, and a bit of frustration, but I'm telling you now, the thing actually started. Well, the next morning I woke up bright and early, I think, started to pack the bike up and headed off. And I was watching a few of the old cars getting packed away as well. Just an amazing sight before heading off to Coolgardie. Now, Coolgardie only has one big day of the year, and apparently this was it. The whole main street was blocked off. It was a massive show there. There were people everywhere. And just as an aside, they had these beautiful cars, not one bit of red dust on any of them. The characters I met at the Red Dust Revival, they were telling me there are so many old cars hidden around Kalgoorlie, and they were explaining some of the things they've picked up over the years, and mainly hand-me-downs and also given to them by friends, which is quite amazing to say the least. Well, what an unbelievable weekend. When you can't get enough dust into your lungs, don't go to Lake Perkolilli. There's bull dust everywhere. The racing is amazing. The dust is more amazing. And night time is say no more. So on the way back, calling into Coolgardie here, they have quite a large event, so I've taken that in as well, and got some great footage of just what happens in the main street of Coolgardie, probably every weekend, but this weekend may be just a little bit special. I'm going home to have a shower.